Let me, on behalf of the African Union Commission, and on my own behalf, begin by thanking the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, and his cooperating partners for convening this important conference to mobilize resources to support the post-Ebola recovery in our sister countries of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. It is indeed an honor for Zimbabwe, in its capacity as the chair of the African Union, to participate in this noble event. Allow me at the onset to underscore the significance of the conference, not only in terms of resource mobilization to safeguard the gains recorded in the fight against the deadly scourge of Ebola, but also it as a clarion call to the international collective to upscale its preparedness and capacity to handle and manage disasters, particularly health epidemics. The imperative to build capacity and preparedness in that regard is too visible to ignore. Your Excellencies, while we applaud the international response to Ebola, we, however, should remind ourselves that health epidemics bring with them far-reaching consequences on the economic, social, and cultural structures of the affected societies. In that regard, it is important to recognize and emphasize the need to embrace inclusive and complementary Ebola response mechanisms, which should have realistic focus on capacity building to strengthening health delivery systems, improving access to safe water and sanitation, and reviving economic activities which have been disrupted by the outbreak. The need to foster strong and sustainable regional and international partnerships in that endeavor need not have any over-elaboration. Your Excellencies, let me take this opportunity to acknowledge and commend the African Union and the African Union Commission for their sterling leadership role in the fight against the Ebola scourge, principally through the African Union support to Ebola outbreak in West Africa, working through ASIOA, which is the outbreak in West Africa. The African Union has overseen the release of funds to the Special Emergency Fund for Drought and Famine in Africa to help the affected countries. It has also mobilized the private sector, which has contributed up to $32,600,000 to the Ebola Fund. In addition to the above initiatives, and in the spirit of Africa taking a leadership role in addressing its own challenges, the African Union will convene an international conference on Ebola in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, from the 20th to the 21st of July this year. We urge you all here present to participate at this critical meeting at the highest possible level. While taking its leadership role in the Ebola response, the African Union has been gratified by both the scale and magnitude of international cooperation at the global level. This inclusive purpose has enabled us to reach this milestone where new cases have declined significantly, and both the ASIOA and the United Nations mission for Ebola emergency response have begun to prepare for an eventual drawdown. Your Excellencies, even with this general positive outlook in our immediate past, let me sound an alarm bell and warn that we cannot afford to be complacent.